Okay, population pyramids. This is the last video on population, so let's get to it. It'll be a really short one. It should take up the last. You should be looking at the back page of the population diffusion notes guide, and the population pyramids, the section of population pyramids should be the last part. So that last little group of notes, that is what we're on right now. So let's get down to it. Population pyramids. Bam. All right. What are population pyramids? Well, what population pyramids are, they're tools that are used by demographers and geographers, which are people who study geography and populations, to show trends within a given region or area's populations. And just kind of getting into it a little bit deeper, what we see is that population pyramids show the age and sex structure of a population. What does that mean? It just means this. When you take a look at the population pyramid, just if you would take a look at this graphic, the age goes down one side. On the right, on kind of in the middle, you'll see the sex, whether or not they're male or female. Now, a cohort what a cohort is each age group within a population pyramid. So, for example, if I wanted to know about the cohort of everyone of 70 to 74, that is a cohort. So at the ages of everyone 70 through 74, this is their cohort. Another example would be the cohorts of everyone from 45 through 49. This will be them. Okay, so that's what we're talking about. The age and gender distribution. When we talk about the population, we know that the age and the gender distribution, it affects its growth rate. And so these things, when we take a look at these graphs, they can help us to predict future population trends. How does it do it? Let's take a quick look. For example, how do population pyramids help us to predict future population trends? So, all right, this is, let's say, for example, this is this cohort of everyone who is 0 to 4. We know right now that everyone in this cohort is of the age of 0 to 4. Better yet, let's take a look at everyone who is from 14 to 0. We know that this is the population for this 10 years, or forecasting for the next 10 or 14 years. So if we wanted to know how many people, or what the population of people who would be, what would our population of 25 to 15-year-olds would be, we would just take a look at this cohort and, of course, reduce it by the normal life expectancy table for kids of that age or people that age. But that would allow us to predict our population here for the next 15 years. So it will allow us to be able to predict our population, what our population would be in the next 15 years. Why is that important? It's important for all kinds of reasons. In 15 years, these kids here will be the people who are finishing college, entering the workforce, finishing high school, starting families. So these are the kind of things you want to think about. Job growth. Where do you build subdivisions? Where do you build new schools? These are the people we can project this population, knowing that they will be here in 10 years. That tells us where we do all kinds of things. So that is the benefit of the population pyramids. Now, just kind of going a little bit deeper into it, or just giving you guys some more practice with it. A question is, which bar includes the age group of students in this classroom? So if we're thinking about not necessarily this classroom, but which one of you guys would be my students? So which bar would include you guys as my students when this was made? Let's take a guess. All right, everyone should know this should be you guys. You're born between the years of 1995 and 1999. At the time of this population pyramid, when we made this population pyramid, you guys were in the age range of being from 0 to 4. Just kind of illustrating my point. If we were to do this today, if we were to make another population pyramid today, right now, you guys will be right here. So right now, you guys would be either in that 10 to 14 range, or even some of you probably, a safer bet would be that you guys would be right here in the 15 through 19 range. The second question, which age group has the greatest proportion of people? If we take a look at this one, you guys take a look and see. It would be this one. The ages of 40 through 44 has the greatest age group of people. They slightly edge out 35 through 39-year-olds. Of course, then the answer is 15 to 19-year-olds and 35 to 44. Oh, wait a second, that's wrong. Hold on, this is wrong. This would be the age group. Well, I guess, yeah, this would be the age group. 35 through 39, 40 through 44 has the most people. Now, we're getting back to population pyramids. They also show the history of a country's population growth. And when we're talking about that, we can see from taking a look here from 1945 through 1965, the United States experienced a huge population growth. During this time, people had larger families. This is what was called the baby boom. People were returning from World War II, starting families. We experienced tremendous growth in our population. So from 1945 to 1965 is what we would consider what's called the baby boom. So looking at this year from 1945 through 1965, most of our grandparents would be considered baby boomers. So these people are now between the ages of 50 and 70, and they're called baby boomers. So when you think about Meemaw and Pawpaw, Meemaw and Pawpaw were of this generation of baby boomers. Now, what this graphic shows us is what the rapid growth. If you have a very large growing population, this is what it would look like with the population pyramid. This is for the example using the African nation of the Congo. What you would see with the rapid growing population, it looks pretty much like a perfect pyramid. A lot of people at the bottom, which means very, very, very young people. Very, very young people. If you take a look, the majority of the population of the Congo during this time that this pyramid was made are between the ages of 10 and 14 years old, 14 to being infants. So this is what it would look like. As you go increase in age, it goes a dramatic decrease. So this is an example of rapid population growth. This is an example of slow population growth, which is actually us in the United States. You'll see that we have, you guys are included, you guys' generation. It's included in here. And steady or very slow population growth. It almost looks like a straight, everything looks even. You know, it's not a wide base like you see here. It's a slight decrease from year to year, but not a humongous decrease at the bottom. When you take a look at the bottom, that'll give you a hint. But going back to talking about the baby boomers, if we take a look at Meemaw's or your grandparents' generation, this is the largest segment of our population in the United States. This is the largest segment of our population by far. And these are people who are from 50 to 70 years old. And when we look at a country like Germany, which has negative population growth, and look, we as the United States would be at a negative population growth if it was not for immigration. But a country like Germany is very similar to most of the developed or more wealthier countries in the world, technologically developed countries in the world, in that we have negative or slow population growth. And this is what it looks like. It actually, if you take a look at the newest generation that you have on the population pyramid, you can tell that it's almost an inverse triangle where the smallest number of people are at the bottom or being born. The smallest number of people are being born every year. And the numbers at the bottom, kind of going through it. And before we move to the next slide, I'll show you guys the numbers at the bottom. This just represents the percentage of the population. So going back to it, to the Congo, up to 10% of their population, between 8 and 10% of their population are boys and girls, or girls 0 to 4 years old. 8 to 10% of their population are boys from 0 to 4 years old. Going to the United States, looking at you guys during the time of this. Now, this was about 15 years old, but during this time, 4% of our population was represented by girls who were 0 to 4 years old. 4% of our population was boys. And when you look at Germany, they're experiencing negative population and growth. Only 2% of their population is girls between the ages of 0 and 4, and 2% of girls between 0 and 4. All right, the end. Make sure you fill out that last section of the notes on population. Have a good evening. See you in class.